Hello, welcome to my bedroom. I'm bringing you here tonight so we can discuss the case of Madeline Soto. It took place in February of 2024 in Kissimmee, Florida. She was reported missing by her mother when her mother waited in the school pickup line and Madeline never came out. She talked to her friends and Madeline's grandmother. Nobody had seen her. Her friends actually had not seen her at all that day in school. So Jennifer went ahead and contacted the school, and they verified that Madeline had not been there for the day. She was marked absent, and one of the teachers had also spoke with Jennifer and went ahead and verified with all of the other teachers that Madeline was nowhere to be seen that day at all. After a couple of hours, the police finally come to take the report from Jennifer. There was some kind of a mix-up with another little girl who had ran away that evening, and they went ahead and marked Madeline as a runaway and then wasn't going to follow up at all. So she had to call them and bug them and get them to finally show up. When they did show up, they were met by Stephen Stearns, Jennifer's boyfriend, and Jennifer. And they went ahead and asked them what they had done for the day, who had seen Madeline. And the story goes, the night before was Madeline's 13th birthday, her quinceañera. They had a big party, and when they came home, Madeline's mother, Jennifer, wanted to get a good night's rest, and so she sent Jennifer upstairs with Stephen to the fourth bedroom because they live in a 4-bedroom house in a gated community, and there was a roommate. Stephen had his own bedroom, Jennifer had her own bedroom, and then there was bedroom number 4. And so Madeline went upstairs to sleep, have a sleepover, watch movies, what have you, so they can finish, the night, having a good night. Jennifer didn't want to be like a party pooper. She didn't want to stop the party, so they wanted to have a sleepover upstairs, so she let them. Good night, Madeline, and she went upstairs. And that was really the last time that Jennifer had seen her, even though the next day when she is making the report with the police, she tells the police that she did see her that morning. She tells them that she's seen them getting ready. She even corrects Stephen when Stephen is telling the police what she was wearing. She corrects him and says, no, she was wearing black shorts. Jennifer didn't really see her that morning. She says in a second interview that she had thought that she had seen her, just from so many mornings of doing the same thing. She kind of had them running together. And so the police, they canvass the neighborhood. They want to search the house. They would like to find Madeline's bedroom, look, for any diaries, notes, anything that could be left behind saying where she went. Sometimes kids do that, right? If they're running away, they leave little clues and stuff, and maybe you could find them and track their whereabouts. So they wanted to do that, and that was when they found out that Madeline did not have her own bedroom, and that she had this like open space off of another room downstairs. That was her bedroom, no privacy, no door at all. And, they're kind of like, why was Madeline sleeping with this grown man upstairs? Why was that okay? And Jennifer says that when they first wanted to do sleepovers, she told them, no. This is her words. No. That's not going to happen. And then eventually, I guess they just bugged enough to have a sleepover. Her grown-ass boyfriend and her, 12, 13-year-old daughter. She lets them have a sleepover upstairs because that makes perfect sense. So the cops are already creeped out, right? And so they're like, we need your phones. We need to look in your phones, see, what happened. We're going to look around, see if we can get any Ring doorbell cameras or cameras from the neighbors or businesses around here and see if we can't pinpoint exactly where Madeline went. Maybe she swung back by after she got dropped off of school, something. So they asked Stephen what exactly happened that morning. He said that he got up early with her. They wanted to get McDonald's. They had discussed that the night before, that they wanted to get McDonald's before she went to school. So they got up at, early and was out the door by 7:30, 7:45. Come to find out, they were not out the door by 7:45. They were out the door more like 8. And he didn't just take her straight to school. He said that he took her to school. They didn't even go to McDonald's, even though that was the big, huge plan, because he said his clicker broke to the gated community. I don't know. And so he had to go drive around the front of the property, talk to the security guard, and the security guard, verified his clicker wasn't working, yada, yada. So he had to go in, get his phone, whatever. And so he goes and drops her off at school, and he drops her off in front of the church, a block down. Because I guess he has a crappy car, and he said that Madeline didn't want to be seen in the crappy car, and that he understood her wanting to protect her image. I don't know. maybe you guys know 13-year-old girls like that don't want to be seen in their parents' car. I was a walker, so I don't know. I would have loved to have gotten a ride in my parents' car. So dropped her off a block from school, and he goes about his business. She goes to school. He even says he sees her in his rear view mirror, and she's like rummaging for her phone or something in her book bag, and he drives off. And he stays out and about, meandering around until the vape store opened around 10. Got his vape or his vape juice, whatever, and then skedaddles back home. Nothing else after that until the police came and he found out that Madeline was missing. When the cops canvassed the neighborhood, they check all the cameras and stuff, and they did catch Stephen on camera, in his car, getting in his car, throwing some things away in the dumpster. They did even see him pull up front to talk with the security guard about that clicker, and they seen Madeline in the passenger seat that morning. She wasn't her, rambunctious self. She was slumped over, is what they described her as. And Stefan, in his interview, said that she was sleeping on the way to school. I guess they had partied hard the night before, woke up early for McDonald's that they didn't get, and so she slept on the way to school, but then also was able to tell him to let her out, a block from school to save her some embarrassment. The cops ain't buying any of it. They know something's fishy. They think Madeline's mom, Jennifer, is being fishy, and they think Stefan's fishy. So they collect their phones, and Jennifer goes on to say that Stefan was acting all kinds of weird about the phone. And she keeps telling him, do you want to be a person of interest? Because if you keep acting like that over your phone, they're going to think that you had something to do with it. And so he goes and gets a new phone or whatever she says, and the cops go through Stefan Stern's phone. In that phone, they found a ton of videos, photos, images of Madeline and Stefan dating back all the way till she was 7 or 8. And Stefan's face wasn't in any of the videos or photos. And these weren't just family photos, you know what I mean? These were photos and images on a grown man's phone of himself and a little girl. And he has some kind of a birthmark that they were able to verify him as, verify that it was him as, and so there was no getting out of it. So they call Madeline's mom, Jennifer, in to discuss what they found on Stefan's phone. When they bring her in and they tell her what they found on his phone, she was not taken aback at all. She was not even, like a little bit distressed by this news. She wanted to actually see the pictures. The cops told her, this is disturbing images. We don't want you to see it. She insisted and wanted to see them anyway. She seen one photo and turned it over and was saying, if Stefan had been doing this to her for this many years, why now? Why would he do something to her now? What's the motive for making her go missing? Jennifer, what the hell? So the cops were like, whoa, why aren't you even worried about, any of this? And she really doesn't have a good answer. No good answer. She says that she didn't know anything was going on, that she tried to protect her and that she failed in doing so, which she did. Do not let your little girl sleep with your boyfriend, grown man, upstairs far away from you. I don't know. Some of you are going to say, my daughter sleeps with my man and she's safe. That's fine, but not everyone is safe, right? And so sometimes you don't find out until it's too late. So just try to protect yourself and your children as best you can from jump, right? And so after the cops talk with Jennifer and tell her and show her the things that Stefan is now in trouble for and gonna get arrested for, she skedaddles on out of there and calls Stefan's dad, and tells Stefan's dad to get him an attorney, that he's being, going to be charged with this, and they have this stuff from his phone, and that he needs an attorney. Jennifer, what is wrong with you? Why would you do that? So the cops bring her back in because they're like, what the hell's the matter with you? Why are you telling this man who is most likely involved in your daughter's missing, status, and already been verified to have been essaying your daughter? Why would you feel the need to go ahead and try to help him out? Give him a little heads up on what's going down. It's making no sense. And they even ask her, in the second interview, what do they think would have happened? And she says that if she was Stefan and she did something to Madeline, that she would have had to have, choked her out. And how would she move the body? And yes, called her daughter a body. And come to find out, she wasn't wrong. And so how did she know? She did not know, but she knew. You know what I mean? Like, all roads point to you knew, but I don't know. So she gave them a heads up. So Stefan ends up getting arrested for, all the stuff in his phone. And they still do not have Madeline. They still haven't found, where she is or where she went. Stefan's still not saying anything. He took her from McDonald's, or didn't take her from McDonald's, just dropped her off at school. Not at school, a block away, whatever. So since they have his phone and he's, mum's the word in jail, they go ahead and start looking at all the cameras, the license plate readers, his cell phone, and they track kind of what roads he was taking, where he was that morning. And then they get a call. Someone calls a tip-in and says that they seen Stefan the morning of Madeline's disappearance. He was knelt down on this road somewhere, changing his flat tire. So the cops and everyone head out there. We're gonna go see, what Stefan was doing out in this little remote area. And when they get out there and they're looking around and stuff, they tragically do find Madeline Soto. When they do an autopsy on Madeline, they find out that her cause of death was strangulation. And a couple of days before she disappeared, when the cops were, searching the house, and they took the computer and everything, Stefan's computer and his phone, and they found that he had been doing some searches on his computer on the 12th and the 14th of February. And he was looking up sevoflurane, which is a volatile anesthetic that causes hypnosis and amnesia, and it's commonly used in surgery. And so I wonder, if he hadn't been drugging her all along and had been finding, some way to get medication. He didn't work in some kind of a doctor's office or anything. Actually, him and Jennifer both worked at Disney World in some capacity. He was actually a cast member, and Jennifer was, she worked at a hotel that was on the property. So I wouldn't even know where he would have gotten the sevoflurane if he was able to get it. But it did say that Madeline her cause of death was strangulation. And Stefan never does admit anything. He's a little bitch and he cops out and takes a plea agreement, no contest. And he does plead guilty to 20, SA offenses and one, murder charge. And he will forever be locked up in Osceola County in Florida. And no charges were ever brought to Jennifer Soto, even though I fully believe, allegedly that she knew absolutely everything that was going down the entire time. But I really hope that all of Madeline's friends and loved ones who actually loved her and was there for her and knew her, I wish them all the peace in the world. And I hope that Madeline is also resting in heaven and at peace and maybe basking in God's arms. Thank you all for joining me for this case tonight. I appreciate it. It is my first true crime case on this platform. So please join me again next week for another one. Thank you so much. Have a good night. Bye.